Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again. Oh, goodness me. Hang on. That's better. Just put a bit of blush on. Might not make a difference, but it does to me. Okay, so yes, welcome. So today, I just want to show you a little video that I did. Crikey. It was a while ago. It was pre-stroke, basically. But yes, I want to show you a video that I, think will be quite helpful in just, inspiring creativity and, just sort of waking the imagination. And I may put a few other videos like that on. May not, but definitely would like to start with this one. So because it's quite a long video, I'm just going to leave it there. So I will say goodbye. And then after that, I will get back to all the website stuff. All right, so I'll see you. See you when I see you. All right then. And yes, I need to start thinking about, set days, possibly a Monday and a Friday, I think, for videos. But yes, that is to be confirmed. All right then, so please enjoy the video to follow, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Welcome everyone. So excuse the dog in the background. Today's topic of conversation is, where do we get our inspiration? Okay. Now, it might seem fairly obvious, but we can be at a loss sometimes as to where to look for inspiration. But of course, in my mind, inspiration is all around us, okay? And here are a few examples of places where we can find it. Our inspiration from anywhere, can't we? It could be supermarket. Yeah, you can get inspiration from anywhere. Interesting conversation in the co-op, argument in the co-op, and romance in the co-op. The ideas are endless. You could also find inspiration from a GP surgery, the waiting room, for example, which is something that I'm thinking about writing myself. So you could even get inspiration from your local hairdressers. Okay, now I've got a sketch that I will share with you at some point about the hairdressers. Okay, it's a really funny sketch, but yeah, so you can find your inspiration anywhere. So they're just three great examples. Doctor's surgery, supermarket. Go in the supermarket and you could, gather ideas, of things to write about. Maybe that's a first meeting for somebody. Maybe it's somebody who's seen, a long lost friend or somebody they were trying to avoid, and then a conflict happens. So there's a climax, and then how does it get resolved? Who's the antagonist? Who's the protagonist? In the doctor's surgery, as mentioned already, I had an idea about the waiting room when I recently, a few months ago, had to do quite a long stint of waiting in the hospital waiting room, and it gave me ideas there. Also, the hairdressers, again, as mentioned, I do have a sketch, a funny sketch about the hairdressers, but get inspiration there. Maybe bumping into someone you don't want to bump into. Maybe someone seeing you with a terrible hairdo. I don't know, and it depends where you're going with it. If it's funny, it's going to go off in a certain direction. If it's serious, of course, it's going to go off in a different direction. But there is inspiration everywhere, okay? So that's point one. the world is our inspiration. As cheesy as that sounds, it's so true. There is inspiration everywhere. Okay, and we need to remember that. Now, my training as an actress, because I trained as an actress many moons ago, I'm just going to drink my brew while we're talking, at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And it really taught me, and I think I was in this mentality anyway, but it really taught me to people watch. And I've been writing for a very, very long time. I've been writing since I was 12 years old. Wrote my first poem at 12, first song around that age as well, first play around 16, and so on and so forth, and it just kept going on. But before that, I started acting when I was 5, and I was tackling scripts at 6 years old, so it really helped with reading and writing, and really helped me develop this curiosity about people when building characters, and it was just ingrained. So when I did my degree and my BA Honours, that was something again that was just revisited in possibly a more in-depth manner, but just that ability to people watch, and it's a really, really good tool to have, and especially having the background as an actress, it really helps my my ability to write. It really helps me create sort of wholesome, detailed, rounded characters. And I often like to test the dialogue. I put my actress head on. For those of you who are a little bit older and you remember Wurzel Gummidge, you remember Wurzel Gummidge and Aunt Sally, Wurzel Gummidge changing the heads. So I put my actress head on and I can actually read the dialogue aloud, especially if I'm doing plays. I will definitely do that. But I like to do it if I'm writing short stories as well, novels, whatever, and see if it trips off the tongue properly. And depending, because some things might be regional, just make sure the slang of that region, the dialect of that region is tripping off the tongue in the right way. So they're great tools. But if you haven't got an acting background, it's still a valuable exercise to try and speak the dialogue aloud. You don't need to do it when you're around anybody. It's not about being, the best performer. It's just to test that dialogue. It's really valuable. I find it valuable when I work, and that's how I work, to see if it reads, if it speaks properly. Because on the page it might seem like one way, but when you actually are speaking the dialogue, and of course when somebody's reading dialogue, as we know, we're all readers, aren't we? Or if we're not, we should be reading. But when we read other people's work, you are imagining that world in your mind firstly. You're hearing the dialogue, and it's really important that it flows nicely, nice seamless dialogue. Again, paying attention to detail. So exercise, for example, let's take one of the 3 places that I've talked about. Let's say a shopping centre, okay? You've bumped into someone at the shopping centre that you haven't seen for a long time, that you've been trying to avoid. And because of the awkwardness of the situation, you actually end up revealing something that you really didn't want to reveal, okay? And what happens at the end? You walk away possibly feeling vulnerable, okay? So that could be between 2 people, could be between 4 people if you had someone with you, if they had someone with you. It could be, extraneous characters around could get involved, who knows. But let's just imagine it's just the 2 people. I'm putting up 4 fingers, 3 fingers, just the 2 people. So yes, you are in the shopping supermarket, wherever, your local your local supermarket, and you see somebody. So this is a good exercise to try out. Now we've got the sort of the bones of it. Now we need to give it some flesh, okay? Because we don't want it to be one-dimensional, okay? You want it to be rich, and you want to consider things, and you want to think about your timeline, depending on what you're doing, and all of those things, what time of day it is. And again, my background as an actress really complements my writing, okay? Because even if you were improvising, or indeed if you had a script, you would be thinking about the year, the month, so what season it is would affect, you know, where your characters or where the dialogue, where the action took place possibly with your characters, what they were wearing. So if you're thinking about a story, the description, how you describe your characters, are you describing them on a summer's day in a nice, you know, vest and shorts or whatever? Are you describing them on a winter's day in a hat with a big thick coat on that felt like a quilt in the cold? You know, what time of day is it? What kind of life are they living? What circumstance are they in? And then, of course, the person themselves. What are they like? You know, do they talk fast? Do they talk slow? You know, are they a negative person? Are they a positive person? You know, do they drain your energy when they're around, or do they lift you up? Are they nervous? Are they confident? And there's so many things to think about that enrich that writing, that make it detailed and interesting to read, okay? I mean, I feel sometimes we can go a little bit too far with the details. As much as I love Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, you know, reading sort of 10 pages about trees and stuff is not my cup of tea. But I obviously do love those books. So just getting a happy balance. But again, it depends, doesn't it? It depends what you're writing about. And of course, you can't please everyone. So at the end of the day, as long as you are happy with what you are producing, then, you know, happy days, you know, because you've got to kind of steer your own ship in that way. Because otherwise, you're just going to rework, and you're never going to be satisfied with the finished product. And you should be able to reach, you know, a point where you are happy with your finished product, in my opinion. Okay. So here's a task. If you care to do so. Task of the week. Have a think about this scenario and use this scenario in the shopping centre, because it's actually interesting sometimes to sort of force ourselves to write in certain remits, especially if you're entering competitions. They can be quite rigid sometimes in what they want from you, and it's an interesting task to, you know, it's an opportunity to refine those skills of writing on demand. That's what it's kind of like, writing on demand. In that's my own turn of phrase, because you are not instigating the scenario. You've been offered something, and again, very much like improvising, you're offered a scenario, and then how you flesh it out is up to you. So I invite you to just spend maybe 15-20 minutes tops, and you know, give yourself a cut off. So you've got a timer or whatever, or set your clock, and even if you haven't finished, it doesn't matter, but see what you can come up with using just 2 characters set in a local supermarket. Now, whether you want it to be in the season we're in, which is February at the moment, 2025, that's up to you. But if you want it to be in a different season, in a different year, you know, that is up to you, because that is where your creativity comes into play to flesh out that idea. Okay, so just have a go at that and see what happens. So you could choose whether you turn that into a short story. You could choose whether you turn that into like a sketch, which is effectively a short play, okay? So a short scene, a short sketch. You could turn that into a poem. And I would try and, well, actually, let's not put a limit on the word count, okay? So we just go for it. When you've written it, do go back if you want to and review it and refine it. You never know. You might have a piece of work waiting there for you, okay? And I'm going to be mentioning The Artist's Way along the way. But in there are some really interesting exercises as well that I will share with you if you don't know it. And even if you do know it, some of those exercises in the past have helped me, and I'll obviously share where I get my inspiration, what resources I use beyond just life and what's around us. Okay, so I'm going to stop there today. So if you want to leave in the comments if you managed to do it, that would be fantastic. Let me know. I would be very interested to hear how that went for you. And for those of you who are out there just having a little listen to the writing process, I hope you've enjoyed today's little chat, and I will see you next time for more inspiration. Okay, all the best. Take care. Bye. Okay, so just letting you know that 3 of these titles are currently available. That is The Brief Encounter of Consciousness, Affairs of the Soul, which is a poetry collection, Transition, which is a play, If You Were in My Shoes, which is a book of short stories, and then I have my the first book of my trilogy, which is Life Outside Latoria. And that will be coming very, very shortly. I just need to edit that one, so I will tell you when it's ready. Thank you very much.